So we got some other people who want to talk to us. Okay, I think this one will be the most. Well, we got some. We'll hopefully we'll get to both before the end here. So other caller on the line, stick around. We'll see if we can get to you too. Right now, I'm going to talk to Jonah, who is calling from Missouri. Jonah, you're live on Talk Heathen. What's up?
Hey, what's up, man?
Not much.
What is going on? We're just hanging out, having a good time. How can we help?
Well, I just want to have a discussion. My topic being that I just think that atheism has kind of like intertwined itself with like left-leaning politics, the way that I think Christianity has kind of entwined itself with right-wing politics, and I don't like either side of that, like at all. But that's just
now.
I'm just saying that I think that yeah.
Well, so I just want to read here because from the call screener, you had pointed this out and you wanted to talk about this, but you used, for example, like LGBTQ and trans rights, like don't belong in atheism. Like, is that what you mean when you say like left-leaning politics, or are you talking more generally, or?
Yeah, I kind of use that as like kind of that would be a good example, but
okay.
Kind of the more broader issue on that, it would be identity politics.
Okay.
Would kind of all encompass that.
Okay. So here's what I think, Jonah. I think you're right in that atheists are talking about issues such as LGBTQ things more than. If you look at the history of online atheism, it's really great. Even before, by great I mean terrible. But like before I ever got involved with the scene, we're talking about like 2010s, early stuff that there was conversations about this idea of atheism plus. Right? And it was this idea of, okay, well, we should just be talking about like theological issues. We should just be talking about separation of church and state. Why do we include all this other stuff when atheists talk about these things? And there was a real big pushback to atheists talking a lot about LGBT issues and stuff in particular. Of course, we talk about it all the time on this program. And for me, there's a clear reason why, because these things are absolutely intertwined. Religion and politics are completely intertwined. You cannot understand religion fully in its fullest scope historically up to now, and the forces that have shaped it without understanding politics and vice versa, especially within the United States. So it's something that has to be addressed within the scope of our activism in order for us to like fully make our arguments, but also for us to fully make change as well. The fact is, and again, we're talking, I'll bring this back to LGBT issues, for example, since that was an example you brought up. The church has been directly responsible for the laws in this country that has decimated the LGBT community, right? And it's still happening today. The bills that have been passed, the stuff that was going on both today and yesterday have been a direct result of church involvement in politics. And if we're going to be activists, right, if we're going to talk about this atheism stuff, what's the point, right? Let's think about this. Is the point just to say, oh, we don't believe in gods and that's it? We want to live our lives? No, because there's a distinct difference between the way I live my life versus the fundamentalist Christian, right? And like, I don't want people to live their lives as fundamentalist Christians because I think that's bad, not just for themselves, but for other people. Christian nationalists in this country are directly trying to take away my rights, the rights of other people in my community, and that is something I want to fight against. There is no point to me. If this was simply about just the philosophical implications of whether or not a God exists, I would not be here. I would not care. I would move on with my life and do something else on my Sundays because like this is just trivial, right? But it's not just trivial. It, again, involves directly what we do with our lives and what we do with ourselves. To me, that's why I'm an activist. To me, that's why I talk about these issues, because it directly informs my livelihood and the livelihood of my friends and family. So, you know, that is why yes, do we talk about these issues more? Absolutely. I agree with that. But I think that's a good thing. Yes. I really do. And we have limitations with the ACA because we're a nonprofit organization, so we can't directly, campaign for politicians or things like that, which frankly I'm fine with. But
Yeah, I mean, I am too. One of the things I do want to point out is that, you're talking about LGBTQ issues as a liberal issue, and I always see it more as a humanist issue. right? I care about my fellow human beings.
Yeah.
You might think that's a liberal way to be, but that's why I stand up for LGBTQ rights as well, because I think they're are just as much of a human as I am and deserve to be considered as such. So I don't see it. I myself don't see it as a liberal issue. I see it as a humanist issue.
Yeah.
And many, many, many atheists are also secular humanists. So you're going to get some crossover there.
It's true. It's true. Jonah,
So
you
a
still
couple
there?
things there I gotta disagree with. It all really goes back to the identity politics thing, I think, and the idea that there's like this battle going on and rights being taken away and things like that. I think is just blamed on both sides.
Can I stop you for a second, Jonah? The rights aren't being taken away. They were never given to begin with.
That too. Yeah. But there are some rights being taken away, like abortion access, for example.
Yeah, those
things like that. Yeah, absolutely.
But I was thinking LGBTQ. Their right, their rights aren't being taken away. They were never given them in the first place. And that's what the fight is for them to have those rights, the same rights that you and I have.
Yeah. But anyway, Jonah, I think go ahead, because I think you had a little bit more to say.
But
it's okay.
My point being is that so just talking about the LGBTQ community specifically, I think that the idea of the community is kind of like identity politics itself, because it's kind of like they're speaking for all these people. Like when there are gay conservatives that would be like not want themselves to be a part of this community, and they don't want to be encompassed in that. And, so it's kind of not fair for them to claim everybody. Like they're all gay people.
Well, there are gay conservatives that are in the community too. I know several of them myself, but we're not trying to push anybody out. And again, I'm looking at this from a humanist perspective, not from a liberal or a conservative one.
Yeah. First of all, I am a cis straight white guy. Okay, so I don't represent anybody except myself and whatever other labels are part of that. I talk about those issues because I care about those people, right? LGBT people, when they have groups that are specifically organized around those causes, are also trying to help other people in their community that maybe don't always represent their views, but are ultimately trying to help make things better for them socially, in society as a whole, right? Like Martin Luther King Jr. may not have represented everybody in the black community, but he was trying to do things for black people, you know what I understand? Because they did not have the same rights that they did, that they do now, right? So in the same way, there are communities that have popped up around what you're calling identity politics, it's just as important that those groups do exist. Even if they don't represent the absolute minutia. Certainly, we don't represent every atheist that lives in Austin, but we are the Atheist Community of Austin. Go ahead. What?
That's just my problem with it. Is that's just the way that the media portrays it. Though maybe it's not the case. Maybe you say that there are gay conservatives in the quote unquote community. Maybe that is the case, but that's not the way that the media perceives it. Ergo, that's not the way everybody else perceives it. The media, I don't want to be one of those
that's
people
not true because I don't
about the
perceive
media,
it that
the media,
way.
but
you're using very general terms like the media doesn't show it that way, and I don't know what that means, right? I see.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting to that.
I don't know that.
I understand that the media is a general term.
Yeah,
Jonah, let's talk about the media for a second.
Okay?
Okay, it seems like your big problem here is that the community doesn't represent all of the LGBTQ people, right? Do you think Fox News represents all conservatives?
I mean, yeah,
Do you think MSNBC represents all liberals? No.
Yeah.
No
and
organization
they're
represents all people in a group.
They're conservative media, but they're a part of the media. I'm not just talking about liberal media or whatever you want to call it. I'm talking about
You totally missed the point I was making, I think. I'm not sure you caught what I was trying to explain.
Well, maybe I did.
Well, Jonah, I don't know. Here's the thing. The ACA, we're constituently speaking, very small, right? We're not the same. We don't have the same.
How many conservatives would be in the ACA?
It's a good question. There have been some. I mean, if you're defining membership as people who have actually paid membership dues and stuff, probably not a lot. Probably not a lot. They probably mostly agree with us.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But should they be conservative and in our community? Would that be a benefit to us?
So that's the problem that I'm having. It seems that like you wouldn't shun them if they were conservative, but it's more like they would be an outcast. So it's more like,
well, look again.
You obviously would not agree as much with the conservative because
we wouldn't.
A true conservative is anti-abortion
at the same time. I don't get that.
Well, look, you're Jonah. There are atheist conservatives.
I
talk to them on Twitter all the time. They're out there. They're definitely there.
I talk to them on Discord all the time. Too.
The fact is, as an organization, you're going to hang out with the people that agree with you more politically on things. That's just the way it is. Is there an organization that has an equal amounts conservative and equal amounts liberal people that also does political advocacy, but also does political advocacy, right? That also does what does that look like?
No,
I mean,
obviously not. But there's obviously organizations with a mix of both. Obviously, it can't be a political organization that has a mix of both.
We're not a political organization.
Yeah, we're not a political organization.
We're trying to have a mixture of both.
Are you not a political organization?
No, we are not. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. We cannot do politics.
But by politics, let's clarify here. We cannot directly contribute to the campaigns of anybody who's running for office, right? That doesn't mean we can't talk about politics.
But my point is, you might as well. You might as well, is my point.
Wait, we might as well what?
Sure, you're nonprofit and all. You might.
I'm not sure you know what a 501c3 is.
You don't contribute to politicians, but you might as well contribute to politicians.
Wait, why would we might as well?
Yeah, I don't get why we might as well.
What do you mean?
Because the politicians, specifically left-leaning politicians, if you supported them, they would specifically support the things that you specifically support.
But that doesn't look.
Well, I understand where you're coming from, but you might as well go.
You're pointing a very broad brush. There's a very big difference between folks who are ardent supporters of Hillary Clinton versus folks who are ardent supporters of Bernie Sanders, okay? If you go on the Atheist Community of Austin Discord or anybody here, let me tell you, there's fights about that stuff all the time, okay? There's a lot of good support. I'm glad we don't support any particular candidate because we wouldn't be able to agree. Everybody would be fighting about it. We have other things that we talk about, and that's fine. Look, in general, we may have some alliances. We may have some, agreements on issues. I don't see how that's a problem. We're an organization that agrees on issues. That's what most organizations do. Otherwise, we wouldn't get stuff done.
Jonah, do you have a problem with the LGBTQ community?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could go there if you want to go there, but
it seems like that. As an example. Because I think
that's not what I asked.
It's a biased organization that you're a part of.
That's not what I asked, though. I'm asking you if you personally have a problem with the LGBTQ community. As I feel like you do, and you're hiding it behind.
This is a trap question.
I feel like you do, and you're hiding it behind politics.
Of course I don't. We're using this as an arbitrary example.
Like a bigot.
Of course I don't have a problem.
Well, then, Jonah, why would you have a problem with us advocating for LGBT rights?
Yeah,
I don't. I'm using it as an example
but you've been arguing for it. You've been doing it through the
You said this is an issue. Why is this an issue that we advocate for LGBT?
We can use trans.
Okay, we advocate for trans rights. Why is that an issue, Jonah?
Wait. The T in LGBTQ stands for trans.
That's part of it. Too far.
Okay. Well, the fact that you think it's a bridge is too far.
They didn't have rights to begin with.
Yeah, trans people historically have not had rights in this country for many things. Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
They didn't exist till recently. They didn't exist.
That's historically inaccurate.
That's absolutely not true.
Yeah.
What do you mean by recent? What do you think is recent? Is 75 years recent?
It gets to a far point to where I think that you are the gender that you're born by. And yes,
I think you're hiding behind bigotry, I think you're being a bigot and hiding behind your politics is what I think.
That's a very bold statement.
I don't think that's a very bold statement at all. I think you've shown it to us throughout this call.
For me, okay, so smokers have higher health care, correct? So why shouldn't trans people? Because they're a health risk.
Why are they a health risk?
What? Wait. Why shouldn't trans people what?
What? Why are trans people a health risk?
Smokers have a higher cost of health care because they are a health risk.
Okay.
Trans people have higher health care or no health care because they are such a high health risk.
Why are they a health risk? Why? Wait,
Wait,
no.
Wait.
We are not moving on until we resolve this. Okay, you're making a crazy claim here, right? And I want to know why you think that.
Bigot. You just called me a bigot.
Yeah, because you make statements like you just made.
So
because of the statement like you just made. Why do trans people have higher health care? Because that seems like a bigoted statement in and of itself.
They are a health risk.
Why?
What do you mean health risk? You mean
why are they a health risk?
If you go on TikTok, you can see multiple examples.
So you're using TikTok as medical knowledge? Is that what you're doing? Or you're using TikTok as scientific evidence? I don't...
Medical knowledge? No, I claim to have supporting evidence backing my claims, like real life.
TikTok is not supporting evidence, man. I hate to tell you.
Well, look, this is
going too.
We're going a lot of places here, Jonah.
Yeah. I need to kick back.
They're doing it on children. They're doing it on children.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So
we are dealing with.
So here's the problem, Jonah. You do have issues with the LGBT community, and that's why it's a problem that we advocate for them.
Yes.
That seems to be the issue.
That seems to be the thing right there.
You're claiming my stance. Claiming my...
Dude, Jonah, let me tell you this. LGBT people do not have issues with us advocating for the LGBT community. You know what I mean? You know why? Because in general, it's a benefit to them. Because we're advocating for them here, this seems to be an issue for you. This seems to be a problem because we held stances that you personally disagree with. And I think that's what's happening here. Because otherwise, why would you care?
When they come after children, I have a problem with it.
Right, Jonah.
Yes, we know. Yeah,
yes,
we
understand.
Yes, we know. We get it.
Yeah.
Because there's trans people on every corner giving out candy, trying to lure children.
A 15-year-old child does not have a fully developed brain. A 15-year-old child does not have a fully developed brain.
Well, there's some callers on the show that don't have a fully developed brain either, Jonah. But that's the world. That's the world that we live in. I'm letting you go. Point is, we advocate for causes. Yeah, that's what we do. We're activists. That's part of the deal. Some people don't. Yeah.
I think I knocked my earphone right out.
You did. Kelley, you did call it right, because if somebody says, "Oh, I don't like it how they include other agendas," and the example you give is LGBT, that is a red flag.
That's why I brought my bigotry duck. It quacks like a bigot.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're right. But look, I think people, when they see, oh wait, why are atheists talking about this other stuff? This isn't related to that, but it is related. It is inherently related. It's what's important. Again, I'm not just interested in this philosophical conundrum of whether a God or not exists. Okay, I've already figured that out for myself. I'm not over here talking about that every single day. I mean, we do talk about it a lot. I'm not saying it's not important, but it's not the only thing. The reason why I'm here, why I'm doing this, is because I want to help people to the best of my ability, whether that includes people deconstructing from the church, whether it includes people figuring out their sexual orientations or gender identities. I want to be there for those people because inevitably the church plays a role in people's ideas for what those constructs even mean, right? Mm-hmm. And whether if you're trying to divorce yourself from that or figure out how to make it work with that, I mean, there's a lot of LGBT folks who are still part of the church and still identify as that. I mean, I'd rather that and have them be happy for themselves than think that they can't exist as a body, as a political body, as this person is saying. I mean, like they have a problem with just people advocating for themselves, let alone us advocating for other people, and that's wrong. You know, I truly believe that's wrong. But